Hello, everyone. Welcome to the program. This is Politics Today live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimale in Abuja. We begin tonight with what may be some kind of trouble brewing in the ruling All Progressives Congress APC, as some aggrieved members have gone to the Federal High Court in Abuja to stop the planned national convention speculated to hold in February of this year. In the suit dated January the 4th, 2022, the plaintiffs Sulaiman Usman, Muhammad Shehu, Samaila Ishaka, Idris Isa, and Aud Emmanuel are seeking an order of the court to restrain the Buni-led CECPC from going ahead with the convention. The plaintiffs, through their lawyer Olushola Ojo, prayed the court for an order to stop the convention on the grounds that state congresses are yet to be completed in all the 36 states of the Federation. They raised 5 questions for the court to determine and also sought 8 declarative reliefs. Well, that's going to be a part of our conversation tonight. Well, not basically the primary conversation, but it's going to form part of our conversation, so stay with me, everyone. But first and foremost, let's check out some of your political roundup stories.
President Muhammadu Buhari has urged the board of the newly incorporated Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited to ensure strict compliance with corporate governance principles that place premium on doing business with the highest ethical standards, integrity, and transparency. The president, who was speaking after inaugurating the board, chaired by Senator Marjorie Chuba Okadigbo, charged them to focus on profitability and operate at par with its industry peers across the world. Taraba State Governor Darassi Shaku has bowed to pressure mounted on him by various stakeholders in the southern senatorial district of the state to contest for the 2023 senatorial seat. A coalition of southern Taraba youth and women from the 52 wards of the zone presented their request to him at the Takum Local Government Secretariat, asking him to vie for the seat come 2023.
What you have acknowledged and the request you have brought forward, I am going to stand to look for the senatorial bid in 2023.
Governor Maruf Interior of Adamawa State has reiterated his administration's commitment towards according priority to the peace enterprise in the state. The governor made this remark during the ceremony marking the year 2022 Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration and emblem appeal launch at Government House in Yola, the Adamawa State capital. According to the governor, his administration will continue to give priority to issues of security and peace-building initiative in line with his 11-point agenda. He will also actively support security agencies, promote dialogue, consensus, and tolerance within and between the diverse communities.
I want to assure you all that we will continue in this trajectory until our people are able to pursue their legitimate activities in peace and sleep with their eyes closed.
Thank you so much, everyone. Let's tell you that the governors of the All Progressives Congress, APC, will meet with President Muhammadu Buhari on Sunday to decide on the date for the February convention of the party. Governor of Plateau State, Simon Lalong, told State House correspondents after a meeting with the president in his office earlier today. Governor Lalong says President Buhari is giving an assurance that nothing would stop the APC from conducting the convention in February. Hence, the resolve by all the governors to meet and harmonize all interests on Sunday.
You know, when convention is coming, there are affairs here and there. Some people will tell you it will work, it will not work. But I'm happy, I don't want to draw the conclusion. But the visit, the president has already assured us, and you know there is already a notice that all the governors are meeting on Sunday. By Sunday, we will tell you when we are doing the convention. We are taking a date already. So these are things that the president was raising his fears. But we are already giving him assurances that nothing will stop us from having a very peaceful election. Some parties have done their own. The PDP did their own. Nothing will stop APC from doing their own. So all the fears that we are talking about, when the president also record it, is also strengthening us. He's telling the governors, please do more and keep the party alive. So we're meeting and we're very hopeful that we're going to keep, and then with the admonition given by the president, is a signal. It's a warning signal to all of us to sit up and ensure that we have a seamless, we have a very clean, fair, and transparent convention, so that our party will not get disintegrated. But I just want to assure you that in so many ways, when we meet, we harmonize all interests and we come out as an APC, one APC.
That's the governor of Plateau State, Simon Lalong. The conversation around the 2023 general election appears to be taking some shape now. A former governor of Niger State, Babangida Aliyu, says the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has agreed to rezone the presidency to the northern region, despite his agreement that any candidate can contest the election. The former governor Aliyu disclosed this earlier today when the Atiku support organization visited him in Mina. Is confident of the success of the group. Take a listen to former Governor Babangida Aliyu.
Of Atiku Abubakar as a candidate and as a president. And the support group has been doing a wonderful job, going from one place to the other, one ward to the other, and they will go throughout the crannies of the country to ensure their success. So, and I'm assured, they said that no matter what type of primaries is adopted, whether direct or indirect, that they are ready for whatever that will happen. Yes. So that I'm very comfortable with what they are doing. In our zoning agreement, that we agreed to rezone to the north as requested by others, but that we had an agreement there written openly that as a result of what has happened, that any candidate from any side of the country can now contest this election.
We're getting somewhere because this is some kind of news to my ears, and perhaps to some of you who have been monitoring closely the development in all of the political parties, because 2023, for some reasons, in the coming months, right here on China's television, we'll be giving you some information in relation to how big, how important, how sacrosanct, and just how critical the 2023 election will be, not only for the president and but for the future of Nigeria and Nigerians at large. So there's so much to it. The race for the seat of power gets our attention. It brings us tonight to the politics of the 2023 presidential race. Nigerians are already speaking about the quality of people they want to see lead them, either as president, governors, or at the local government levels. Tonight, we dwell on the politics of the #1 political seat in Nigeria today. That is the presidency. Within the different political circles, names of people are already being thrown up. Let's take a look at some of these snapshots for you, and let's take it, perhaps get an understanding of what is happening in these political parties. For example, in the APC, these are some of the names that have been thrown up. Bola Ahmed Tinubu, former governor of Lagos State, the vice president, Professor Yemi Oshibajo, governor of Kogi State, Yaya Bello, former governor of Imo, Rochas Okorocha, former governor of Akwa Ibom, and former governor of Rivers State, who are sitting ministers, Rotimi Amechi and Godswill Akpabio, governor of Ekiti State, Kade Fayemi, former governor of Lagos State, Babatunde Fashola. These are some of the names that have been thrown up in the early permutations, and looking at the potential candidates that might come up in this race. Let's flip the page. Let's look at the PDP, for example. Some of the names that have been thrown up: Atiku Abubakar, Aminu Tambuwa, governor of Sokoto State; Bukola Saraki, former Senate president, former governor of Kwara State; Peter Obi, former governor of Anambra State; Bala Muhammad, governor of Bauchi State; Goodluck Jonathan, who spent just about 5 or 6 years in office before, and who has legitimately, some people will argue, that he deserved the right to contest again under our laws. Former governor, President Goodluck Jonathan. Also, Sam Ohabwa, another person who had indicated interest. Another person is the former Secretary to the Governor of the Federation, Pius Ayim. These are some of the names that have been thrown up. Outside of the PDP and APC, there are other names that have come up also. Some of these are eminent Nigerians in their own right, some of them who have done very well for themselves, including former Deputy Governor of the CBN, Kingsley Mohalu, former Minister of Agriculture, Akinwumi Adesina, the CEO of Belema Oil, Jack Rich Ten, former Minister of Education, Obi Ezekwesili, and the very Pastor Tunde Bakari, a Pentecostal pastor. Some of these names have been thrown up. But where do we go from here? Nigerians are opening their eyes and deciding for themselves the kind of leaders they want to see. Let's get talking, everyone. We get to hear from all the sides tonight, especially the major political party in Nigeria. Very vocal guest I have tonight on the program. So you need to get a cup of coffee if you need one, get a cup of water if you need one, and don't go anywhere. Stay glued to your TV set, because tonight we dig into some of these issues for you. In our Lagos studio is Mr. Segun Showumi, a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party and a former spokesperson of the PDP Presidential Campaign Organization in the 2019 election. He's not changed his looks from the last time I saw him with his white beard. Thank you so much, Mr. Showumi, for joining us tonight. It's a pleasure having you, and a happy new year, seeing you for the first time. Let's begin first and foremost. Happy New Year to you too. And take a look at what the former governor of Niger State said. Babangida Aliyu, the one who calls himself the servant governor, he said the party has agreed to rezone the presidential slot in the PDP to the north. Can you confirm that to us tonight?
No, that's very difficult for me to confirm. Typically, our party, when it comes to the issue of zoning or determining these things, that responsibility is usually left with the National Working Committee of the party. To the best of my knowledge, the last thing we know concerning zoning was that upon trying to determine where we'll put the chairmanship of the party, before we were able to produce the chairman, Senator Yoshe Ayu, who is now our new chairman, what the party said clearly was that they have not discussed the issue of zoning of the presidency, and that putting the chairmanship in the north does not preclude them coming back to discuss that issue. So technically, you would say the presidency of the PDP is wide open for now. And if anything is to change, there are organs that must communicate that. One of them, and one of the most strongest of them, is the NWC. The next one will be our structure of the Governors Forum. But if Dr. Babangida Aliyu says they are putting it in the north, I want to believe he must have maybe his suspicion, but it's best not to work on suspicion. It's best to wait until the proper organ of the party puts it where it's supposed to be.
Interesting. I know you spoke for Atiku Abubakar, and interestingly, Babangida Aliyu is rooting for Atiku Abubakar. How does that feel with you? You think that, again, the PDP can put forward the former vice president as his presidential flag bearer?
I think that I've always said that when it comes to Atiku Abubakar, the issue is not really about where he comes from. The issue is usually about the kinds of idea he stands for over the years. I believe that where people come from is an accident of birth, and I also hold very strongly that in this country, there is one error we make often, or maybe a generalization. We tend to assume that there are three Souths made up of the South-South, the Southwest, and the Southeast. And then when we get to the North, we tend to pretend as if there's just one North. Whereas, just as we have three South, so also do we have three North, made up of the Northwest, the North Central, and the Northeast. To the best of my knowledge, the North Central has not produced president in this dispensation. The Northeast has not produced president in this dispensation. The Southeast has not produced president in this dispensation. And therefore, for the PDP, also weighing on our mind very heavily is that in the PDP era, we have only had, at best, 2.5 years of a northern candidate. Therefore, most of the candidates who have been lucky under the PDP have been southern candidates. In the person of Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, 8 years. Good luck, Billy Jonathan, 5 years plus. Therefore, these things are going to be discussed heavily. But like I said, one must not play all the time to advantage. The structure of our party is such that the NWC will set up an arrangement where these zoning issues will be settled. And until that issue is settled, all persons of goodwill, some of the names you've seen listed there are good material, ready to go for presidency. Let them continue to engage the field. Let them continue to consult. Let them continue to persuade the leadership and Nigeria of the kinds of agenda they are building. But when it comes to Atiku Abubakar, I can tell you for free that those things he stands for are still the issues that Nigerians have to contend with. One of them is security. We hold the view that you are not going to insist that you are going to bomb the entire country into submission. If you have security challenges of this nature, you must be willing to look at the security architecture and rework it. That will mean something very heavy that departs us from the APC, at least by the conversation of the president. We also hold the view that for you to grow the economy, you're not just going to do it by insisting that you're going to do contract, or you're going to do project, or you're going to use debt to fund infrastructure. We believe that to open up the economy, your greatest investment must be in human capital and in those things that encourages young people to be able to be the drivers of this economy relative to small and medium scale industry. We're very heavy on that. And then when it comes to national inclusion, where we are departed from them, Atiku is someone who understands very clearly that this federation is under some kind of threat, and the threat may not be too visible. In some cases it is, but significantly it requires us to say, yes, let us sit down now and figure out how we can make the country be at peace with itself, make it a nation that all Nigerians can feel a part of the country, can't free enough, discuss the conversation on how we want to be governed. If you call it restructuring, so be it. If you call it reworking the federalism, so be it. If you call it true federalism, so be it. But what is certain is this: we hold the view that for Nigeria to become the giant that it's supposed to be, we must discuss the federation-related issues. How do we want to be governed? Who is in charge of what? How do we manage the power? What kind of powers do we give to the section? When you have a situation where a chief security officer of a state cannot even have a decent dialogue with a police officer that has come to occupy and invade the state, it tells you that definitely, at best, we're deceiving ourselves, we're not running a federation. If we're to be a federalism, a federating unit, then it must mean that we must review it and we must talk about it. When it comes to how we see debt, we have always said, and we insist, that one of the major problems of the APC government is that they have piled up a lot of debt without a great recourse for how they're going to pay it. And because Atiku was vice president of the Obasanjo, they were able to pay that debt. So we can reasonably assume they understand that a nation in debt will eventually become a nation that will fail if its debt or its creditors ask for that resources.
Yeah. Let me come in quickly here. I can predict most authoritatively tonight, from what we've seen in the past years and the past election cycle, that some of these 5 elements will characterize and determine who becomes Nigeria's next president. One is the age and fitness of the candidate for office. 2, ethnic and zoning arrangement will play a very major key. 3rd is going to be the quality of the character that is going to be put forward by the different political parties. Another thing, which is the 4th one that I'm putting forward tonight as argument, is the fact that ideas will be very fundamental, because in this age and time, people will be looking for those who have the ideas and the sort of ideas that will take them to the next level. That is what Nigerians might be looking for again. And the 5th one will be the character that has a unifying persona that can help galvanize the nation. These 5 elements are put before Nigerians tonight. And I want to put it to you tonight. If my producer can bring back that list, and you've spoken about Atiku Abubakar vigorously tonight. The big question is whether or not these boxes are checked by the man that you're talking vigorously about.
Look, if these parameters you raised are the issues, the capacity to generate the kind of ideas that you need to run the country, the ability to unite the country together, the age relative to the health and the physical ability to be able to do the job and carry the responsibility of office, and the other 2, which obviously I do not want to model up because your producer did not pick them up. I'll just say very simply, without wasting time, hand over the country to Atiku. Why? The last time he was in the country, I asked him a very serious question. I said to him, look, you have gone for your medicals in Germany. And I said, I have an idea of the result. He said, how did you know? I said, because I'm interested in this thing. Do you know what the result was? The result was that Atiku Abubakar was healthier than almost every other person that followed him there, including younger people. He's one of those lucky ones who somehow nature has just kept him for this purpose. We're not at campaign yet. If you brought Bukola Saraki, he'll fit the bill. If you brought Peter Obi, he'll fit the bill. If you brought Bala Mohammed, of recent I've been hearing him speak, I've engaged him one, I think his intellect, he'll fit the bill. The important thing is, if you brought Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, you certainly know he'll fit the bill. What I'm saying to you in essence is that all of those boxes you tick, one box that you left out is truly that what are the real issues that the country must contend with now, aside the ethnic issues of accident of birth? Yes, some consideration must be given, but I've just given you a roll down of the 6 zones we have in the country. 3 of those zones have not produced president. The Northeast is one of them, where Atiku comes from, where Bala comes from. The North Central is one of them, where Bukola Saraki comes from. The Southeast is one of them, where Peter Obi comes from. Are you going to tell me that any of those sections that have not produced the president of this country, if you are that interested in equity, fairness, and accountability, shall any one of them not really be accountable? The only sections of the country who have had more than their fair share at producing president in Nigeria is the Southwest. They've had 8 years of Obasanjo, and most likely they will have 8 years of Osinbajo. The next set is the Northwest, where you have Muhammadu Buhari. They're going to have 8 years of the President Buhari, and they're going to have 2.5 years of, Yaradua. So you can see where the ethnic lines are. We will be a nation that first of all recognizes that there is time for everything. There's a time when you are fixated on the narrow issues, and there are times when the big issues of who can get Nigeria working almost immediately. You're looking for a chief executive that can hit the ground running, who has the prerequisite experience, who understands what the country is dealing with, who understands the issues, who is aware of what it takes, and when it comes to bringing ideas, Atiku has never come to a presidential contest without a plan. And I can guarantee you, by the time you see the plan he has now, when he finally decides, you'll be amazed at how much work he usually does towards making sure that he can give Nigeria what Nigeria deserves.
I'm just looking at what happened in recent past. Look at the EndSARS protest, the kind of manner in which the young people of Nigeria, who form nothing less than 48% of the voting population. If you do the mathematics, if you do the numbers, you will know that these people don't only have the voice, they have the character, and they have the presence when it comes to voting population in Nigeria. Whether or not they were able to use that in the coming elections is left into their hands to determine. The people from 18 and 35, they hold a very strong presence in our voting calculations in this country. And I'm not sure how much of the Atiku Abubakar's bracket you are able to convince them to go along with. But let's leave that conversation for another day. Let's look at the comment made by President Buhari about your political party, the PDP. There's one word he used to describe your party. He described it as failure. How do you react to that?
When I listened to the Buhari interview, I soberly listened and reviewed it more than 6 times. And I came to the sober conclusion that Mr. President suffers from what I can call post-traumatic stress disorder. Why? The president is locked in the past. In the first instance, you notice he says overthrow, overthrow, overthrow when he wants to talk about winning an election. That's from his military past. I listened to how he captured the southeastern issues, and I realized that no, truly and sincerely, he cannot know what he's talking about. With profound respect to him, you cannot call a party that has given you most of the men that are now milling around you in your party, which you found qualified to be appointed as Minister of Transportation, qualified to be appointed Minister of Health, qualified to be appointed special advisors, qualified to be made governors in your party, qualified to meet with you as senators. If they have failed so woefully, what are they doing in your party? In any case, we don't bandy words with the president when it comes to that. When he says, when they call PDP, he remembers failure, I'll just tell him, Mr. President, look at your track record. What we will say to him is that when they mention APC, we just become totally frustrated because the only thing they signify is absolute, unabated hopelessness.
So you have responded to what the president said. So what I was hoping that you might be able to tell Nigerians is the opportunity for you to sell your political party, because if the president has tagged it, because the #1 citizen of the country, he probably is saying something that we are not saying. If he says your political party is a failure, you've had a share to rule this country or to govern this country for 16 years. He's described those 16 years from my own inference on that statement as failure. And the question would be, your party said is coming to rescue Nigeria from the APC. And so you wonder if the president calls the PDP failure, can failure rescue Nigeria from the status quo?
Hopelessness will never know what failure looks like. I'll have to remind the president that was in this country in 1999 when the duel of Olusegun Obasanjo as president and Atiku Abubakar as vice president exited the debt, grew the economy, made it double digit, expanded it, made it biggest economy in the world, in Africa. Was he in this country when Yaradua came in, of blessed memory, solved the problem in the amnestic issues in the Niger Delta, got the oil pumping again, got the country together? Was the president in this country when Goodluck Ebele Jonathan became president, when he decided that the best approach to solving the long-term problem of security in the north will be for him to educate them, create more universities, do the design, and even negotiate the monies to pay for this debt, sign the agreement, paid the Nigerian part of it, wait for the Chinese to come and do that. You see, if you want us to dwell on what failure means, as far as I'm concerned, and what the Nigerian people must ask, failure is their inability to buy gari, buy palm oil, buy rice, or eat food. Failure is their inability to get an exchange rate that can allow them to even run their kids to school and do the normal thing, buy pharmaceutical. Failure is their inability to manage the country and keep it united. Failure is their inability to keep the country at peace and with itself. Failure is their inability to even justify to the Nigerian people any modicum of success in all of the things they promise. Anybody can use adjective. That was why I said, and I insist, that it looks most likely that he has some form of post-traumatic stress disorder. Why? Because if you lose an election or you won an election, you did not overthrow anybody. The only man who can keep using overthrow in a democracy is someone who is locked in his military past. And when you look at his attitude to the Igbo question, when they ask him up, he speaks in such a manner like you get the impression that he has not even recovered from the civil war. And I tell him very pungently, as a leader of Nigeria, one is who is about to wrap up now, what the younger generation of Nigerians expect from you, Mr. President, is to bequeath a country that is a little bit more at peace with itself. Not an ethnically divided country, not a parochially run country,
so
a country that can be a united Nigeria.
Mr. Shawumi, we need to wrap up on this segment. And I'd like us to wrap up in this way, in this manner. When I was mentioning those elements that I think will shape the conversation to whom become the next president of Nigeria, I talked about ethnic and zoning. I put religion into it because that's another factor. So if you factor it, you look at the religion, you might think that these shouldn't shape our politics. But it's a reality. It does speak to our politics and how things should be. But my final question to you tonight is not minding the political party anybody belongs. What Nigerians should be looking at in the kind of person who will lead Nigeria. Do we need a young person? What kind of young person do we need? Do we need an experienced person? What kind of experienced person do we need? What character, what kind of character would you say Nigeria need right now to fix some of the challenges we face? You just have a minute to do that.
I think if I was to take anybody from APC with these things they are talking about, people talk about it all the time, but I know what I know. I think I will be looking at Yaya Bello. Why? He's young, he fits, he clicks, he ticks your box. He's been a governor, he has experience, he ticks your box. I've been watching the kinds of things he's doing. I watch him in the media often. I read the kind of people who are endorsing him. But I know that he's in a party where they will never look at him. So maybe I'll just say to my friend Yaya, come to PDP. Even if you don't get presidency now, we'll make you a president one day in our party. But if you stay with that party, I don't trust them. They don't like young people. They didn't do much with the result of NSAS. They are not prepared or even willing to reform the police. They've not ticked a single item on the list of what young people want. They're not interested in what the Igbos want. They're not interested in what anybody wants. The only thing they're interested in is their narrow fixation on what they interpret to be the Nigeria of now. Unfortunately, it is a Nigeria that is locked in the nostalgia of the past. Right. Anybody who insists on doing the same thing over and over again will get the same result. Thank you, Sheung.
Thank you so much, my very good friend, who is fast getting out of our own age bracket and moving to the other side. Thank you so much. At least your gray beards speak as much. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Happy New Year to you again.
Happy New Year.
We'll take a break, everyone. Up next, the conversation continues about 2023. Mr. Femi Fani-Kayode joins me, a former aviation minister and APC chieftain. Stay with us, everyone. We'll be looking at 2023. Welcome back, everyone. The conversation continues about the quality of leadership Nigerians. You, wherever you may be watching, either you're in Nigeria or you're in London, or you're somewhere in Atlanta, in Georgia, in the United States, or you're somewhere in Norway watching, you're Nigerian, interested in the affairs of this country. The quality of leadership that Nigeria needs in 2023 get our attention tonight. Well, the APC, PDP, and all of the political parties, politicians are already talking about this. But it does look like the APC has their own share of the trouble internally, where the North Central Zone of the APC is advising the party to avoid selecting candidates through consensus, as this will prevent participatory democracy within the party. There was a press conference in Abuja where the convener of the coalition of support groups of the APC in the North Central region, Ayuba Pam, wants all the candidates to contest for the national chairmanship of the party, which will improve, according to them, the internal democracy within the party. Let's take a look at the short soundbite from them.
Consensus is a very good thing for any party. Consensus does a lot of damage control as far as party politics is concerned. So if the APC is encouraging consensus, it is not bad. But we're saying, in a situation that we want democracy to strive, consensus should always take the back stage and let people ventilate and let people have a say in internal democracy. And that is why you have party primaries. The party primaries are for the party to select the best of the best. And we believe that allowing people to contest is more democratic, and it will enhance and expand the party to the ward level or to the unit level.
Well, you've heard Ayuba Pam, one of the chieftains of the APC, talking about the process that they think will help the APC in the convention. My guest tonight is Chief Femi Fani-Kayode, a former aviation minister and who is also popularly called the Sadauki Shinkafi, a title he got in Zamfara. Thank you so much, Chief Fani-Kayode, for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Sure. You'll probably be wondering that maybe you jumped into a hot soup. I mean, considering that your party, APC, is in some kind of mess.
Well, I wouldn't describe it as a mess. Far from it. What I believe that we're witnessing within the APC is perfectly normal for any vibrant, strong, and very large political party, particularly a ruling political party. I've been in the PDP in the past. We've experienced worse in the past within the PDP. The most important thing is that at the end of the day, everybody will come together, agree on a candidate, move forward and go to the election and win that election. So what you're seeing within the APC now is nothing peculiar, nothing extraordinary. As a matter of fact, it could be far worse than it is. And it's really no different to what's happening within the PDP. Like I just said somewhere the other day, that is a gas tank waiting to explode. I mean, already you've seen that former Governor Babangida Aliyu has said the presidency has been zoned to the north, not just to the north, to an individual in the north, that's Atiku Abubakar, within the PDP. He said that just today, or was it yesterday? And that's creating a stir within their party. So you can see that both sides of the divide have issues, but these are not really anything to worry about. The most important thing is that we come together as a party, we prepare ourselves for the next election, we select a good, strong candidate that can win at the polls, and we go forward and we win that election. That's what's important.
I wonder how easy that would be, considering that some folks in your party had gone to the Federal High Court seeking a court order to stop the convention from happening in February. Do you see the convention really happening in February?
Well, let me put it like this. When you have a party of over 40 million people, which is what the new register seems to reflect, you're going to have all sorts of people doing all sorts of things. And it's their right to do that, as long as they operate within the rules, the rule of law. They have a right in a democracy to go to court and ask the court to give a ruling on whatever they choose. You know, that's their prerogative, it's their right.
But that's a pointer to one thing, disunity in your party.
No. What it means is that we don't all agree on a particular issue. This is not a cult. It's never been a cult, and it will never be a cult. Some people will always disagree with others, and that's healthy. The most important thing is that at the end of the day, everybody will come together, support whoever it is that emerges as the candidate at the election, and ensures that we win the election. So whatever is going on now is simply, if you like, an appetizer, a very delightful appetizer of democracy, which will eventually evolve into a keen contest between the PDP, the APC, and whichever other party is involved. It's a quest for power, and people say and do all sorts of things before that fight really comes. So once we get to that fight, I assure you everybody will come together and these differences will be buried.
Two things now that or maybe three, that I respect about the conversation with you is the fact that you're a lawyer.
Yes.
You're not only a lawyer, you're a politician, and you've been in the scheme of things for a long time. Also, you're a student of history. And also I'll bring your mind to the reason why I'm saying your party might be in a mess. Every time you've seen people move out of the standard in most of the political parties, which the PDP made popular, that before you go to court, you need to exhaust all the internal processes before you go to court. I'm not sure about what has happened that led those people to go to court. And anytime you see that happen, and I'll give you instances. In Zamfara State, the APC lost that state, not because of anything, but because they couldn't agree, they went to court. In River State, the APC was not even able to be on the ballot. And we've seen this in a few other states. This is just a simple example. And history, and not far history, I might go into 10 years ago, 15 years ago, where court issues had made a mess of political party activities. And that's why I'm saying your party looks like it is in a mess.
The most important thing is this. The leadership of the party, the present leadership of the party has done exceptionally well. There's a National Reconciliation Committee led by, I believe, Senator Abdullahi from, Adamu Abdullahi from Nasarawa State. The national chairman of the party, Governor Mai Mala Buni, has established that. This is a credible, strong leadership that believes in people coming on board, including everybody. Now, they are working, and whatever the differences might be, particularly in this particular case of people going to court, I have no doubt whatsoever that they'll bring everybody together at the end of the day, and they will ensure that we have a united front before we get to the convention, whenever that will be, and before we get to the election, which will be next year. And that is my prayer, that is my belief. And I know most of the players in this game, and I'm assuring you that under the leadership of Mai Mala, this is what is going to happen. That's how he operates. That's how he has managed to bring over 3 sitting governors from the PDP to his party, a number of other leaders like myself, and so many other people, senators like Senator Grace Bent, and so many that have joined the APC and left the PDP over the last few months. And I'm assuring you that more will come before the election takes place.
What I was hearing is that more will leave your party to the PDP.
Well, that's a desire and a masturbatory dream of the PDP. I doubt that very, very much. You know, let's wait and see. People say all sorts of things in politics. I saw my younger brother and good friend of mine, Shegu Shomi, speaking from Lagos just now, saying that the president has, post-traumatic syndrome or something like that. Well, the president does not have that. What the president has is a clear vision and an understanding of the problems that we are faced with in this country. And he's speaking from a position of knowledge, and he's trying his best to ensure that he moves the country forward in the way that he sees fit. And most important of all, if he has an opinion that you disagree with, say you disagree with the opinion without suggesting that there's something wrong with him in terms of his mental faculties. It's very, very far from it. He's focused, he's clear. You may not agree with everything that he says. I may not agree with everything that he says, but he's certainly not suffering from that.
When the president said in that interview, he said that he doesn't want to let the cat out of the bag on whom he will be supporting. I mean, he's made it clear that he has a favorite. Who do you imagine that favorite is?
Well, I have absolutely no idea. What I know is that he knows every single key player within this party very, very well. And he may well have made up his mind, like he said in that interview, but he will never allow you or myself or anybody to know who that person is, for the reasons that he clearly stated, that the minute you express your view about an individual, no matter how big or small you are, that individual inherits a lot of enemies, and they start fighting.
You know the reason why I'm asking you, Chief Anikaude?
Yeah.
I've had a lot of people come and say, you know the person the president was talking about, it's just so and so. You are a key player in the party. You have friends, and let me show you the name on the names on the list. Those who are the permutations and some of the early contenders, or the names that have been thrown up in the APC. Former Governor of Lagos, Bola Tinubu, Yaya Bello of Kogi State, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, the Vice President, Rochas Okorocha, Rotimi Amechi, Godswill Akpabio, Kayode Fayemi, Babatunde Fashola. Who do you think that the president might be referring to on this list?
I have absolutely no idea who the president is referring to. The person may be on this list, the person may not be on this list. I have no idea. What I will tell you, though, is every single person on that list, every single one of them, is highly qualified to be president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Not just those on that list. There are others that are not on that list. A dark horse may emerge, but I know that every single one of them is qualified. The party is a strong party, a good party that has managed to hold the country together over the last few years, despite the challenges that we've had, and they're very real challenges. And these people, every single person that is mentioned there, is more than capable of running this country. Of course, you know, you have some that are younger than others. You have some that are perhaps more dynamic than others, more focused than others, and stronger than others, and more decisive than others. I'm a great friend and believer in Yaya Bello, but there are others that are there as well. And, you know, at the end of the day, we'll all come together and we'll make a decision. And once we make that decision, we will go into the field and we'll fight the corner, and we will ensure that our candidate, our presidential candidate, will become the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. As Shogun rightly argued, you know, there isn't, you know, you have to consider the fact that there are some parts of this country that have never had the presidency. The North Central has never had the presidency since the beginning of time.
Some people will argue that, in fact, North Central has benefited more than any region.
No.
In terms of having leadership.
We're talking...
I mean, if we look at it from either the military or the democratic...
My words, I was very, very specific and clear with my words. A democratically elected president. The North Central has never had a democratically elected president since 1960. They have never had a democratically elected vice president since 1960. The Northeast has had a democratically elected prime minister for 6 years, and he was killed, Tafawa Balewa, you know, after 6 years. That's the only time they've had the mantle of leadership in this country. And the Southeast has never had a democratically elected president. Both Southeast and Northeast have had democratically elected...
had a vice president.
They've had, both Southeast and Northeast have had democratically elected vice presidents. But in terms of democratically elected presidents, the Southeast has never enjoyed it, the North Central has never enjoyed it, and the Northeast has only enjoyed it for 6 years when Tafawa Balewa was there. So the argument could well be that, you know, why on earth would you deny them that right? Why would you say no to them? Why should it be that the presidency is rotated simply between, let's say, the Northwest and the Southwest, or elsewhere? Even the South-South have only had it for a limited period of time under President Goodluck Jonathan. You could argue this all night, but the most important thing is, regardless of what you believe about zoning, in my view, we need to look for a dynamic, strong, focused, decisive leader this time around. Younger, stronger, and ready to carry this mantle and focus on going to the future and create a new Nigeria for us all. That's the way forward. And I'm glad with what with what our brother said, Shegun, when he now invited Yaya to come over to the PDP. Well, that would be the last thing that would happen. I know him very, very well. He's in the right place at the right time. He has a damn good chance of winning that nomination. And others are also involved. Oshibajo is there, and a few others. The Fashola is also a very, very focused person. But the most important thing for me is that we agree on a person. We all have our preferences, but let's just agree. Whoever it is, then we go into the field to save Nigeria.
I put this to you. I've done a few permutations and analyses in the past years of the figures and the determinants of electoral process or elections in Nigeria. And we know for sure, history has taught us that in Nigeria, those who have the muscle are those who carry the day. The numbers, political numbers and the electoral numbers, those are the who have carried the day. And you give it to the Southwest, you give it to the Northwest. They've always shown their muscle during an election, followed by the South-South.
Absolutely.
But the Southeast, the North Central has always been swing region. I mean, when there is an indecision in the election, the North Central swings it. But the question is that they usually don't benefit as much when it comes to the scheme of things. And I see that playing out again.
Well, that's a great observation. And you're a very profound person. You have a lot of experience. You've been in this for a very long time. And you're absolutely right. A friend of mine who is a governor right now, he wasn't governor at the time, came to my house a few years ago. And he said to me that, that actually, if you look at it closely, power could be rotated in perpetuity between Northwest and Southwest. And I asked why. He said, if you look at the voting numbers, like you rightly said, 18 million registered voters in the Northwest, which is usually the case, approximately 16 million in the Southwest, which is usually the case. And if you put the Southeast and the South-South together, 7-7, they only have 14 million. I think this North Central about 11 or whatever it is, and the Northeast more or less the same as that. So he argued that, listen, why are we bothering with everybody else? That we should just be rotating power between the Northwest and the South.
The big boys in the room.
Yeah, absolutely. And that we could do that in perpetuity. He's a sitting governor, good friend of mine.
Yeah, but that may be politically, unfair.
No. I told him, you know, at that time I told him, and I believe that's wrong, even more now than then. He told me this in 2013, but even more now than then. Even though I disagreed with him, but now I see that it's a very, very dangerous course to walk. Because the minute you start making people in the Southeast, the South-South, the North Central, and the Northwest feel as if they are marginalized people who can never achieve the presidency, you are planting the seed of secession in this country. So I think that we need to be a little bit restrained in this. We shouldn't push the argument about numbers being in one place or the other. Those of us from the Southwest and the Northwest have to accept the fact that there are other people that also have the right to lead this country and rule this country. We must be fair, we must be equitable, and we must share the power and allow other people to run for this presidency and enjoy it. That is just my view. And I could argue that view anywhere, anytime. But let's wait and see what the party will say.
Two or three quick questions to you tonight. And let me begin with the first, is whether or not the APC can go, is whether or not they are popular right now, and they can go to Nigerians now and convince them to vote for them in 2023. Do you hold that view?
Let me tell you this. I don't think we should take sides on the basis of whether we can convince people or not. We should take sides on the basis that what is right and what is wrong, what we believe to be right. I believe that if the APC and the APC government can state its case eloquently and clearly to the Nigerian people, which is something I believe has been lacking over the last 4 years. And if they could only tell the world the truth about what has been going on in this country, the crisis that they have averted, the dangers that they're facing, the fact that our unity is under threat by foreign powers and so on, if they could be open about
What about the promises and the delivery on those promises?
If they could put that argument.
Would that also be on the table?
If they could put, of course, if they could put that argument, and why it is that things have been difficult. Some of the figures you gave the other day, of course, you're absolutely right when you spoke to the president. Things have been difficult for a number of reasons. But if they could state that case, this is the most important thing, and convince the Nigerian people that, listen, things may not be as good as they could be, but things will be a lot better in the future given what we have done, and that we have avoided war in this country, which is our greatest achievement. That way they will sail through. If they do not do that, there are going to be challenges. Because you see, what's happening is that the PDP And, you know, I was there for many, many years. And I know what I would do if I was on the other side. You would simply focus on the negatives. You will not provide a solution. You will not say how you will solve the problem yourself. All you want to do is come to power to be there all over again. And you're not even preferring any solutions. As a matter of fact, you are enjoying the fact that we have so much insecurity. But let me just say this. This government that everybody, this party that everybody has been maligning, some of us criticize them more than those that are criticizing now in the past. But what did they do? They ensured that the bandits in the Northwest have been labeled as terrorists. We fought for that for a very, very long time. I joined the party. Now they've been labeled as terrorists by this federal government. Nobody would believe that would happen.
So quick one.
Much more.
And just I have a few seconds to go.
Yeah.
I outlined about 5 components or elements that will determine, that will shape this election in 2023. Age, fitness for office, ethnic zoning, the quality of the candidate, the ideas they are bringing to the table, and of course the unifying character that some of these people should have. From those lists, over the list that you have seen, who would you say tick the box for you?
Well, I've already said who I believe would fit the bill. This is just my opinion. I'm a believer in Governor Yaya Bello. I believe that he would be an excellent president. I believe that he would fit that bill very well. I believe he would appeal to the millions of young people in this country, that this is a change. We're changing the dynamics. We're giving power to a younger person. That's just my view, though. And it's left for everybody to come out. And
but the question, Chief, is whether or not if I pick, I'll pick 2 people now. If you pick an Atiku Abubakar from the Northeast region and the kind of profile that he has in this country, can Yaya Bello stand head-to-head with him in the general election?
Why not? He would defeat him hands down.
Really?
Any candidate, the PD... Let me tell you this. There are only 2 people that I believe would provide a strong fight against the APC within the ranks of the PD. Only 2. The first is Bala Mohammed, who I have immense respect for, but I doubt they have the presence of mind to give him the ticket. In fact, they will make sure he doesn't get the ticket. So he should come to APC and try his luck. Or Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi of Enugu State, who is not even on your list. And he's one of the brightest and the best of them all, and the most effective. He's not even on the list. These are the 2 people that would have provided a good fight. There is nobody else on that list, particularly Atiku Abubakar, that can stand against anybody within the APC, particularly against Yaya Bello, Fashola, or any of them, or Fayemi. None whatsoever. That is just my view. I believe it passionately, and I have my reasons for saying that. It's time for us to move forward. All right. Let me end with this, show. Let me tell you, there are other people that may eventually end up being featured as presidential aspirants and so on and so forth in both parties that nobody's talking about right now. And I assure you that when the time comes, though, we will sit down, we'll look at it, I will make a decision, and we'll go to the field.
Well, there's so much more that we need to talk about. I probably will invite you some other time.
I'll be delighted.
It's always very good to talk about the practical terms of our politics and how the elections will shape.
Thank you.
Chief Nfanikade, thank you so much for coming
Thanks for having us, Shalom. Yeah.
Just before we go, everyone, on a programming note, we have for you, gladly, I introduce a brand new program which will debut tomorrow right here on Channels Television. We're glad to tell you that you can watch the full interview with the Labour MP for Newcastle, Chi Onwura, on our new program, A Diaspora Network. That is the title of the program, which captures the activities of Nigerians that are flying the country's flag outside the country. The program makes its debut this Saturday at 7:30 p.m. with a repeat broadcast on Sunday at 11 p.m. Keep it date with some of the unique Nigerians that are making us proud outside of the shores of this country. And that's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks all for watching. It's Friday, the first Friday in the year 2022. Whichever way you choose to enjoy it, have a pleasant evening, everyone. I'm sure Akimale. Bye-bye.